Our planet's journey through space is not a perfect circle. It is an ellipse, a slightly stretched out path that we perceive as stable and unchanging. This perception of stability, however, is a fragile assumption. The silent gravitational engine that dictates our seasons, our climate, and the very rhythm of life is not fixed. It only looks that way. Over geological time, this orbital path has shifted, stretched, and relaxed, driven by the subtle gravitational nudges of other planets. But imagine these monumental shifts not happening over centuries, but beginning to manifest within a single generation. The first signs would not be catastrophic upheavals, but subtle, almost imperceptible alterations. Instead, they would cascade through our interconnected world in a progressive chain reaction. The first effects are subtle, easily dismissed as anomalies. The later ones are not. By the end of this process, the world as we know it would still function, but it would be a world reconfigured by a new celestial reality. The initial outcome is not fire or flood, but a profound and inescapable loss of predictability. The global clockwork we have built our modern world upon begins to run erratically. A slightly more elliptical orbit means our planet swings closer to the sun and farther away, creating more extreme temperature differentials. This altered path would immediately begin to stress our energy grids. A colder than expected winter, from Earth being farther from the sun, would drive unprecedented heating demand. We've seen this fragility before. Power plants built for certain peak capacity would be pushed past their limits, causing rolling blackouts each winter. Conversely, perihelion would usher in summers of scorching, unfamiliar heat. With a more elliptical orbit, those deadly events become seasonal norms. Intensified solar radiation would strain water resources, increase the risk of wildfires, and reduce the efficiency of power plants, creating a vicious cycle of energy scarcity. The consequences ripple outward. Carefully calibrated GPS systems that guide our planes, ships, and cars rely on a precise model of Earth's position. A shifting orbit introduces errors that must be constantly corrected. Without corrections, navigation becomes unreliable. Shipping routes might be miscalculated, causing delays and losses. The invisible framework of our hyperconnected society would begin to show cracks. The first true casualty of the orbital shift is not a city, but an idea, the concept of reliable weather forecasting. With a 20% annual swing in incoming solar energy, these models begin to fail spectacularly. The predictable movement of jet streams becomes unstable. This atmospheric instability manifests as unprecedented volatility. The boundaries between seasons blur into a chaotic battleground. This makes planning for agriculture nearly impossible. A farmer sees seeds sprout in a deceptively warm spring. Then a brutal, late-season frost wipes out the entire crop overnight. The risk profile for farming skyrockets globally. The world's great breadbaskets fail simultaneously. This agricultural collapse creates a global famine engine. Major food-producing nations impose strict export bans, hoarding supplies. This protectionism accelerates the crisis for everyone else. The combined disruptions bring the finely tuned network of global trade to a grinding halt. Extreme weather makes key shipping lanes far more hazardous. Port operations become hopelessly congested. Unprecedented storm surges and gale-force winds lead to frequent shutdowns. The just-in-time logistics model completely collapses, leading to factory shutdowns and product shortages worldwide. The interconnected global economy begins to deglobalize by force, fracturing into smaller, less efficient regional blocks. The system-wide impacts culminate in a radical reshaping of geopolitics. A new global divide emerges, based not on ideology, but on climate. Disputes over shared river basins escalate into open warfare. Mass migrations of climate refugees destabilize entire regions. International institutions prove incapable of managing this new reality as nations revert to a survivalist mentality. The tumultuous era of cascading failures eventually subsides. Not because the old world is restored, but because a new, harsher equilibrium is reached. Agriculture moves indoors. These vast hydroponic facilities, powered by dedicated microgrids, guarantee a stable, if monotonous, food supply. Society is restructured around the new celestial rhythm. Life becomes a slower, more deliberate cadence dictated by thermometer and barometer. The world that emerges is stable, but diminished. Forever aware of its precarious place in a cosmos that is not guaranteed to be stable. The orbital shift was not a one-time event, but a process. Was this a temporary anomaly, or the first phase of a much larger transformation? The forces that shifted Earth's orbit are still at play, their ultimate consequences unknown. The world has been remade, but the story continues. What scenario should we explore next? Share your ideas below. You've been watching IfVerse. See you in our next reality.